evening. I'm going to make another video today, and I'm really going to talk about 5 steps that are pretty much involved in every gig that I do, or most gigs. And the steps don't involve a camera, Lightroom, or Photoshop. These are just sort of business flow steps that I think are very important, and these are steps that I've had to modify and change and learn throughout the 2-3 years that I've been doing this. So I'm going to mention some companies, and I just want to put it out there that none of these companies are paying me to do or say anything. These are companies I use. This is my opinion, and be totally honest with you guys, I paid them all for the services that they offer me. So let's just get right into it. Step number 1. You have to put yourself out there. In fact, I call this one put out, because you have to kind of reach out and let people know what you do. Really important. So how do I do it? When I first started, the only source I had was Craigslist. So I kept running an ad on Craigslist. Pretty effective. It worked. I got a few gigs. And eventually it started to kind of branch out a little bit from there. There was some referral work, and then I started picking up the real estate stuff, and then I had kind of a clientele to try to chase. So that made it simple. If I can chase and get some more realtors, I can get more work. So I started emailing realtors left and right. So run ad on Craigslist, email. But one thing I found that was really effective is if I really spoke about what I did in my day-to-day interaction with people. I have a day job where I get to sit down with a lot of people from my area. During the day, I'm an optician. I make and sell eyeglasses. So I sit down with anywhere from 5 to 15 people a day, so it's very easy for me to engage in conversation with them and tell them what I do. I try not to shove it up their nose, and politely just kind of bring it up and say, when I'm not here, I take pictures. I run a small photography business, and I kind of let them know that right away too, that this is really a business. Although it's small, I treat it just like that. So emails, Craigslist ad, any ad really, if you can find a place, talk to people, and then I post things on social media a little bit. I should be more involved, but I do put things on my personal Facebook page. Eddie Avenue has a Facebook page. I don't do much with that. I really need to get more involved in the social media part, but it doesn't excite me, really. So we'll see what happens down the road. So that's number 1. Put yourself out there. Number 2, when you put yourself out there, you're going to get some calls. And this section is called get. So number 2, get. You're going to get an email. You're going to get a phone call. You're going to get a text. You may get a Snapchat. Well, if I got a Snapchat, I would just reply back and say, please call, text, or email me, because this whole having to remember stuff is not for me. I'm old and I'm forgetful. So you got to know how to react, and you got to react pretty quickly. Nobody wants to sit around. If you can, pick up the phone. If you can, get right back to them. Be polite, be professional, but the key thing is you got to be able to get back to them pretty quickly, and you got to be able to sell yourself. So that's number 2. So first thing, you go out, you try to get work, and then all of a sudden, work comes to you, and they are engaged with you in conversation. Goes back and forth a little bit usually, and sometimes they want to pursue it, and sometimes it just falls off. That's just how it goes. You win some, you lose some. So number 3, is price. And how do you go about price? How do you give a proper quote? In the beginning, I found that very difficult. I didn't know how much. One thing that was happening quite a bit and I couldn't stand it was, especially with text or emails, it went back and forth too much. Where is the event? And then I would remember, oh, maybe I should ask how many people are there. Oh, maybe I should ask what the address is. So you try to calculate your mileage, your time at the event, how many people are there. You kind of get a sense of the difficulty. Try to get a sense of the budget. Not really one to ask, so I try to get a feel for what people's budget is. So what I ended up doing, and it's really the best thing I've done, is on my website I made a little form that people can fill out, and it has all these questions on there. So it's just like a little application, name, phone number, email, type of event. In fact, what I'm going to do is, if I can, I'll put a photo of it. And if I can't figure out how to do that because I'm new at this whole video making, I will definitely put a link in the comments. In fact, there will definitely be a link in the comments. And this made my life so much easier. So somebody would say, hey, what do you charge to shoot a birthday party? Instead of going back and forth, I would say, could you please fill this form out? As soon as they fill the form out, I would get an email. And it was a really good thing to go back to that email down the road and look at things, especially if they booked me. So I definitely suggest that. If you want to give a proper quote, you got to ask a few questions. And it may be just better to have something on your website. And by the way, my website is done through Squarespace. I did it myself, very happy with it. I wish I had more time to put more content and change things around more, but it's been wonderful. Making that form, was a piece of cake. And definitely check the link in the comments and you can see what it is. One big thing too, when you first start out, every dollar matters, like everything, you really got to calculate everything in, so you're not giving a price that's too high, and at the same time, you're making some money. Even if you're not making any money, you can kind of feel good about what you do. When you go out and you're not making any money or you're charging very little, sometimes it's very discouraging. So definitely, in the beginning, you really want to make sure you give a proper quote. One that perhaps is going to get you the gig, and one that's going to make you appreciate it. So very important. And as you get better and you get more clients, you can definitely charge more. You can have a little bit more wiggle room. So if you have to work an extra half an hour, it doesn't bother you as much. You're making good money. If you have to drive an extra 20 miles, it's okay. But in the beginning, all this stuff really does matter. So having a website is key here. So, not only they can look at your stuff, but they can fill out forms like this, and it's just a better way to communicate. It's also more professional. So you give a price quote, they book you, you go there, you shoot, you come home, you edit. I think we can make 20 videos about shooting and editing, but that's something everybody knows you got to do. You got to go shoot, you got to come home, and you got to edit. What's next? Then you got to deliver your work. So here, I see a lot of people do a lot of different things. If it's only a few images, of course you can email it. So there's that. There is email. There are the hard copies. You make a CD, you can make a thumb drive, you can mail it to them. All good things. You can deliver a big file or folder. And this is commonly done through, some of these storage, like Dropbox, very common form of delivering work. And I've done all that. So I used to use something from Apple, I think it was me.com, before it became just iCloud, where you had some storage and you could upload and then you can send them a link and they can just download it. And that was great, it did the job, and I was already paying for that service. So I was like, okay, why not? Might as well use it. But at some point, you got to kick it up a notch, and you got to get a little bit more professional. Because most of what I deliver isn't in a hard copy, like it's not on a CD, it's not on a thumb drive. It's digital files. Whether it's a portrait shot or real estate shot, it's all digital. People nowadays want to get their own prints, and sometimes most people don't get anything printed. Most of my real estate work, I don't think any of it's ever been printed. Some of my work for builders, yes, but as far as the listing, agents, Zillow, all that, it just goes online. They sell a property, they're happy. I use a company called Shootproof. And Shootproof is a fantastic, fantastic company. I don't know how I stumbled onto them, but you know, I will definitely put a link to one of my real estate shoots in the comments. So click on that, and you can see how nicely it presents you. I think it's a fantastic website. It's never been down. It's never really done anything buggy. It's just been kind of seamless, perfect. No problems. It's growing. You can definitely tell it's better now than it was a year ago. It's got more features. In fact, it has a bunch more features that I've never even tapped into, but it's shootproof.com. Fantastic website, and there are different packages, and I think you can get about 100 pictures for free. I could be totally wrong. Things may have changed, but I remember for a while I had an account where I could have 1,500 images up, regardless of size, and now I'm up to 5,000. So, you know, once you get close to 5,000, you got to delete some, which is totally fine. So it doesn't cost a whole lot of money, but it really, really makes me look good, and it really cuts back on expense, really. So I'm not having to mail anybody anything. It really saves me a lot of time. It makes me look good. And it's not just a file that they're going to get, that they're going to do a download and unzip it, and they have some images. So great way to show off your work and tell people that, you know, you are the real deal. Very, very professional. I couldn't be happier with them. So there's delivery. You've delivered your work. Now is usually when I send my invoice. So whether I've collected a deposit or I'm going to invoice them, it's usually done at the end. Every now and then I get paid in advance, and every now and then I get paid at the time of the event. But usually I like to invoice somebody when my work is done. Call me crazy, just the way I like to do it. I usually send them a link from Shootproof, and then I send them an invoice. As far as payment, it's okay to do whatever, but there's one thing that bugs me. People don't put a lot of thought into this whole invoicing and getting paid thing, and they just, you know, you can write me a check, pay me cash, or I'll take PayPal. Again, this doesn't cost a whole lot of money. Another way you can really stand out from someone who's not doing these things is to just simply get an account with, I use SquareUp, that little square white thing. They do my invoicing, and they also are their credit card company. So 9 out of 10, with all my work, I send them an invoice through Square. It takes me about a minute to make an invoice. If it's a new invoice, if it's an existing customer, it's even less than that. They get an invoice. They can pay it 2 in the morning in their underwear in front of their computer, and it's done. Nobody has to go to the bank, including me. Nobody has to write a check. Nobody has to count anything. And they can do it at the convenience of, you know, their home in their underwear, and everything is good. Money goes into my bank account within 24 hours. It's fantastic. Is it free? No. There's a 3%, sometimes a little bit more, depending on the situation. But again, makes me look good, makes my life a lot easier, and very, very easy way for me to keep track of what I'm doing with the invoices. It lets me know who's paid, who hasn't, outstanding invoices. It gives me a good grasp on what I'm doing. It tells me how much I've done in dollars for the last 30 days. It graphs things. It's just a really, really good thing to have. Now, yeah, you can give someone your email and say, that's my PayPal. PayPal means some money. But this stuff doesn't cost much. Think about it. For every $1,000 that I do through Square, it costs me 30 bucks. It's okay. I know it's $30, could be in my pocket, but I could be going to the bank. I could be asking someone to mail me a check. I could be giving someone my PayPal, like, here's my PayPal, like, remember my brother needed money. He would say, hey, can you put some money in my PayPal? Come on. So that's pretty much it. Put yourself out there. Make sure you reply when someone is trying to get to you. Set a good price. Delivery. And then payment. So these are 5 things that you don't really plan on putting too much effort in, but you have to because that's what you need to do to complete a gig. So I hope this has been helpful, and if anybody has any questions or want me to make a video on anything specific, let me know. And again, none of these companies sponsor me, pay me. In fact, I pay them all for their services. And I couldn't be happier with any, I couldn't be any more happier with any of them. So that's pretty much it for today, and hopefully can make another video soon. Thanks again for watching.